beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Got a lot to talk about today. Got a guest also, and it is a nice day. Just leaving from the services for Nikki Hicks. Very, very popular and good, a great psalmist, singer. Place was full of people over at Shiloh Baptist Church. So I'm running just a little bit behind, but wanted to get here with you all. A lot going on. Let me go to world politics real quick, and then I'm going to talk to our guests, and then we'll talk about some local stuff that's happening today in front of United Nations. And I know, a lot of times we don't talk about the national stuff that's going on, or international stuff that's going on, but it can affect us in the United States big time. Right now, Netanyahu landed, and today he spoke before United Nations, and I knew it was going to happen. But when all the other speakers were there, everybody was seated, and when Netanyahu came behind the podium, the place started emptying out.
Wow.
Yeah, they waited till he got behind the podium and then started walking out. And he started out his speech. I wasn't able to see it all. I'm going to catch it a little later today. But by saying that he wasn't coming to the United Nations this year because of the war, and he says, but I had to show up so that I could set the record straight. And then those in the gallery, of course, who were there to support him, were clapping and all of that. Of course, he talked about the events of October in which Hamas attacks Israel and, goes in. And we know the story. But what is interesting is that the Biden administration has on the table a kind of agreement that they thought that Netanyahu agreed with. And so they kind of shopped it out there, put it out there a little bit. And Netanyahu's people said, no agreement. Nope. We just want to continue fighting for right now. And I think it's a shame. And I think that, and I've said this from the beginning, when people were simply, and I'm good with standing with Israel, but I'm also good. You got to stand with every innocent person. And you got to stand, that's for me. I stand with the innocent people of Palestine. I stand with the innocent people of Israel like I do every other country, innocent people of Haiti. Like, there is so much going on right now across the world that could affect so much. It could, depending on where the conflict is, it could affect gas prices. It definitely will affect travel. It could affect so much, because the way this world works is on trading and moving goods and services and all kinds of stuff. So this is serious. And where they say this could turn out to an all-out war, to me, it already has. I don't know. I mean, you selling people pagers, which is against the Geneva Convention. It's against international law. You cannot use an object that is normally not used in war and make it so that it kills people.
Right.
You can't do that. You can send all of the missiles over you want. And of course, when they send missiles over, Israel has a dome basically that catches most of them. But you cannot, and very few people are saying anything. You can't take a cell phone or a pager and put a bomb in it and indiscriminately kill innocent victims in war. And listen, I'm not acting like I'm a expert in war, but I am a veteran, and I was during Grenada. I was there. And so at the end of the day, and let me be clear, I was in Panama during Grenada, one base over. And so these things are going, so we got to be really conscious of what's happening around the world and not just in our backyard.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know that, during your term on the council, folks came to us as it related to Israel and standing with Israel and those types of things. And we stood for peace.
Exactly.
On both sides. We don't want to take a side. I totally agree with you, because there are innocent women and children who are dying. You're bombing hospitals and daycare centers, and that's I just don't understand. And I understand the politics of it, because it's about the total annihilation of a certain group of people. But it's not something good for this world. And as you stated, it affects all of us. We may not be there, but those other things, those intangible things that happen as far as trade and those things, it does affect us. And it just seems as though Netanyahu was just turned on everybody. He's like, oh no, we're not even listening to y'all.
Yeah.
Because I heard that there was a peace accord that they had agreed with working on, and they said, no, we're not doing it.
You got it. And so I'll look at the speech later, but also, and then I'll come to our guest, New York City Mayor Eric Adams turned himself in today.
Yeah.
Wow. He turned himself in today. Now, they took his cell phone. They went by the house. His lawyer said they went by the house with all these agents take one cell phone. They were like, all you do is ask for it. So they went by the house. They already raided his house.
Yep.
His police chief has stepped down. The school chancellor has stepped down. Some are calling for Eric Adams to step down. My feeling is, and this is how I always say, and I'm going to say it on his behalf like I say it on everybody's behalf, we live in a country where you're supposedly innocent until proven guilty.
Yep.
And the people voted in Eric Adams, and it'll be the people who decide whether he returns. Now, if he is found guilty, that's another thing. Or if there's a smoking gun and he says, hey, I don't want to be a distraction, that's one thing. But saying that, this country always talks about you're innocent until proven guilty, but any allegation, most people go, oh, it's got to be true. I told you so. I told you. And they just run with it. And in our country, and especially for people of color, we get it worse than anybody else. Many other people get the benefit of that. Oh, no, they're a good person. Oh, they donated to this. They donated to that. And one of the articles I read today, I agree with it. It said that Eric Adams is in the same boat as Donald Trump. However, Eric Adams will suffer more than Donald Trump ever will.
I've literally been saying the same thing since it came out. And honestly, even with again different extremes, but I was like, even with the Sean Puffy Combs situation, I said he will get treated so much worse,
absolutely,
than even some of the other Hollywood counterparts that went down the same path. And it was kind of like, oh, you hear one article here and one article there. No, if you were even seen at a Puffy party, or
if you walk past the man,
now you you was at one of those parties. But it's so I completely agree with that. And I was going to ask you, do you think people really know what indicted means?
No.
because
it doesn't mean you're guilty.
Exactly. It just means there's enough evidence to take this to a jury trial. It doesn't mean that, like you said, the allegations are true. Doesn't mean that you're guilty. It just says, hey, we found enough that beyond a reasonable doubt that we think we can take this to trial.
Exactly. And at the end, okay, so I'll give you the Attorney at Law magazine definition. An indictment is a formal accusation that there is probable cause to charge someone with a crime. That's it. It does not mean, folks, that somebody is guilty. Now, you might say, why are you standing up for? I stand up for, I've always stood up for people having the chance to prove themselves.
Absolutely.
Because let's look at it. I mean, Trump gonna make it out. He gonna, you say Eric Adams jump down, right?
Yeah.
Drop out, step down. But then you say to Trump, Step up. We want you to lead the country again. Right. We don't care what you've done. We don't care.
Convicted. And you've been convicted. That's completely different.
You've been convicted. This man has been indicted. So to me, hey. All right, listen, we're going to come back to that. I got a guest here. I want to make sure I can get him in 6th Annual Fatherhood and BMOC Conference, The Power of Mentorship, because every father has the heart of a mentor. Tell them your name and what you're here about on this.
My name Terry C., and I'm the program manager for the Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative, one of the programs under the Buffalo Prenatal Perinatal Network.
Now, how does all the prenatal, perinatal, fathers, how does all this go together? Let's explain it to people.
Because of family, it all goes together. Whether you're a mother or a father or a child, it's all one unit. And Buffalo Prenatal Perinatal Network, a nonprofit that's been in existence for over 35 years. It wasn't up until about 6 years ago that they started reaching out to fathers.
Which is good.
It is good. It is good. And that's been a movement across the United States, across the world, trying to engage with fathers and bring them out from behind the curtains so that they're no longer called the invisible parent. And some of the things that we do is educate, we inform, we support, encourage, we provide services and assistance for the dad and his family so that they may strive.
Yeah, so this conference or the conference that's coming up, tell us about it.
This is our sixth conference, our 6th year of holding the Fatherhood Conference. This year, it is the theme is the power of mentorship, and it's reaching out to fathers and Black men and boys of color, because that's where we see the biggest opportunity for mentorship. A father should be mentoring his children, and if that child, which sadly enough 1 out of 4 households do not have a father involved, they should have some man in their life who is mentoring them to raise and lift them up to manhood.
Totally agree. So this is going on Friday and Saturday, October the 11th and the 12th from 8:30 to 3. Is that 8:30 on Friday also?
Yes,
And,
it is.
and so is it the same like classes on Friday or different things on Friday and different things on Saturday?
Well, the Friday will be at the M Hotel out by the Galleria, and that day is mostly geared toward providers, people,
okay.
community leaders, organizations and agencies to come out and be more informed,
Okay.
so that they can help their clients, their constituents.
Right.
And on Saturday, that's targeting the community.
Okay.
That's where we want fathers and the young men to come out and take part in. So the workshops and the speakers are geared differently for those 2 days.
Okay. And it's at the Friday is at the M Hotel, Saturday is at the chapel but the Cheektowaga campus.
Correct.
So don't go out to Cross Points, 200 Thruway Plaza in Cheektowaga. And how does a person, now this is for men, how do men sign up or register?
Well, we've been out on social media for quite some time, mass text messages to those hundreds of people we have engaged with over the years. But a phone call to myself will get you what you need to do to either register, to pay the registration fee, which is $99. However, we are also sponsoring people in the community, fathers and young men, with a free scholarship. So give me a call and I could get you hooked up with that.
All right. So there are people commenting. And so we want to make sure, give you a call where?
My number, area code 443-453-4875.
And this is for men of all ages and young men. Do they have to be fathers?
No, fathers, expectant fathers, thinking about being a father, it doesn't matter. Our flagship program is called the Nurturing Fathers class, and we've had fathers as young as 16, as old as 72, expectant fathers, a group that out of 20 people, only one was a father. So those that are not a father, they were able to get information which I tell everybody that engage with us, what we teach in the fatherhood program is how to be the best man you could be first, so that you could be the best father, husband, partner, whatever.
Amen. Thank you so much for being with us. Give them that number one more time.
Area code 443-453-4875.
You know, last night I was watching Michael Vick's Evolution of a Quarterback, and he interviewed a lot of our elite quarterbacks and the challenges of racism, and that quarterbacks were at one point weren't very smart or intelligent. But over and over again, as he interviewed these quarterbacks, they talked about their father and the influence of their father, giving them a foundation, giving them confidence. So we know the importance of fathers, and I think that this is a very, very important event. As we know, as parents, we don't come with a manual for our children, but we always can get information to help us be better than what we were yesterday.
Exactly.
So I appreciate what you all are doing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. And it's on the front page of the Challenger about the power of mentorship. Thank you. We appreciate you. I'm going to go back to this little discussion, and people are commenting about, thank you for talking about these things. And Don says about your program is great, and somebody just reposted your phone number for those who may be tuning in late but on social media. Do you think that Eric Adams should step down?
Me personally, absolutely not. I think you go through the due process. Go through the process, and I think there's moments where maybe you start looking at, do I become too much of a distraction? Do I, but there's still a way to lead a city without being the face or out front. So I think he might need to start looking at that. I wouldn't want to take every now press conference and now you got to be defending yourself. You're trying to do a ribbon cutting and now you got to spend time talking about my charges. So that's where I think you might have to take a not so front page approach and still being the mayor, but I wouldn't step down.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that if he's innocent, he should stand strong and stand towards that conviction that he's innocent. Because at the end of the day, like you said, people hear indictment and think that he's guilty, and he's not. And so I believe that. And I like Eric Adams. I like some of the things he's done with New York City. I like that he's been outspoken where he's needed to be outspoken. And some people have given him criticism, but you're supposed to speak up for your city. There's things that are affecting you regarding immigrants and that whole thing that he had to speak loud and clear on. And he did boldly, as he should. And so I have respect for him, and I hope that he can get through this.
All right, so just, we discuss it here. It's 12:24. I want to talk about, the big news in Buffalo, and I'm going to tap your brain as council member.
I thought
that
you were
is
talking about the Bills. I'm sorry.
They won again.
I ain't thought about the Bills since I gave up my season tickets. I ain't even watched the game.
You gave up your tickets.
Because I'm not paying that seat tax when it goes to
crazy.
Yeah, that man, no. I'm not a big sports fan. I bought it. I never went to one game in my life. I'm not interested in sitting outside in the cold. And even when people say, "Oh, come on in the booth," I'm not. I'm fine in my living room, and that way I can watch the portions of it. And when they lose, and I can turn. I don't have to sit there and torture myself for hours.
Oh my!
I can turn
and
and watch 90 Day Fiance or watch Love After
hilarious.
Lockup and all the
my
stuff.
gosh,
What's the matter with that?
Really?
I watch Love After Lockup. Matter of
Love
fact, right
After
now in this
Lockup.
season, the girl from Syracuse is on there.
Oh my God!
Preacher's daughter. Alex.
He got that 411.
Alex
What you
Bernard's
talking to the
daughter
producers?
is on. No, their lives are right there on TV.
Oh, my God.
They done been to her father's church, everything. Yes. So I can do that instead of sitting out there. So I don't know. Yay bills. They ain't paying none of my bills.
None of
And I ain't
mine.
making none of that money. So go Bills. So $290,000. Mayor's Well, I can't say he's stepping down because he hasn't signed the contract yet. I'm sure he got the pen ready.
I'm sure he's down to the Brown, the last name.
I'm sure he got the pen ready to move on and to go over to OTB. Now, what happens is the council president, of course, becomes the interim mayor. So there is a lot of talk because in this, I need people to understand that the sitting council, nor most people who are on the council, I think there's probably only one council member who was on the council when the council was downsized. So we used to have what was called an at-large seat, which was a council member that did not have a district. They had to run by the whole city. And the thought there, the intent there was if there was a vacancy, usually the at-large member in most cases would be the council president. Now that he would go, he was elected or she was elected by everybody in the city. So we have a unique situation here, separate than New York. If Eric steps down in New York, they have what's called a public advocate.
Yes.
And the public advocate is a person, and that's what Tish James was, who is elected by the entire city, right? So that means the entire city elected them, and they represent the people, basically. The public advocate, they're the ones who stand between government and the people. So the public advocate would become the temporary mayor in New York City for about 90 days, according to what I'm reading, until there's a special election called, right? So then the people get to choose then who's going to be the mayor.
Okay.
In Buffalo's charter, it does not say that there will be a special election. It says the council president will be the temporary mayor, or the whatever word you want to use, until the next election, which means then that the current council president will serve in the mayor's office because you have to keep government running.
Right.
Some people thought that the deputy mayors became mayor. The deputy mayors are not elected officials. No. They are appointed by the mayor. That's it. It's basically, they get appointed just like a secretary gets appointed. And it's just a title, deputy mayor. It's nothing more than a title. They do not assume the duties of the mayor when the mayor is out of town. As a matter of fact, when I was on the council, when the mayor would leave, he wouldn't even leave the city in the hands of the deputy mayors. Right. He would leave it in the hands then of Tim Ball and Corporation Council most of the time. So whenever that ink dries and before it dries, and Byron Brown says, I'm taking the job, and I would say this, I'm 99.8% sure he's going to take the job. All right, so then the council president becomes the interim mayor. What is being discussed now is then how does his district would not have representation. And so there is a resolution on the table now that is asking and you tell me if I'm right or wrong about this, that is asking Corporation Council to draft some type of legislation that would put a temporary person in the South District until the council member returns. My opinion, and I'm my 12 years of experience is that the council, and I talked to council member Leah Halter-Pope yesterday about this, and she made it very clear of why she put this on the table. That people were asking about it, wanted some clarification, wanted the law department to say, hey, you can do it, you can't do it. Here is my opinion. The charter, which I was on the Charter Revision Commission when this last charter was there. If you look in the book, my name is not in there because I quit right before it, and that's a long story. Right before it was ratified. But I sat there, and I sat there for days and a year or so. When the people then had to vote on the changes we put in the charter.
Correct.
So since the people voted, and whether did anybody think, a mayor, because this is only the second time that a mayor stepped down early, and so according to what, so did anybody think, okay, this could mean somebody's serving as interim mayor for 3 years even?
Right.
Or if Byron had have sworn in and then quit the next day, the council president would have been there for 4 years.
No, they wouldn't. 'Cause
What?
it's-
Oh, right.
It's
It's a deadline.
until
You're
the
right.
next
You're right.
general election.
So they wait. I'll just say this: it happened
Yeah.
after the deadline that would have triggered
By
a
state law.
arrest.
Yeah.
Right. You're right.
For state law.
It needed to happen by August, so it didn't.
August 5th.
Right. You know the exact date. So, but here's my point: is that there will be an opening as far as representation in a district. It's part of the charter. Council members, from what I know, cannot change that. They can't come in and say, we're going to put a temporary, because here's the question. So who picks a temporary person? Oh, the council picks a temporary person? The people, it takes away the vote of the people who voted on the charter of the city of Buffalo.
Right.
And I told you that, and I've told everybody that. And whatever happens, happens. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm only spitting fact of what I know, and as a long-serving president of the Common Council, that you can't just legislate changing and putting people in. And I wouldn't want to see our council begin to do something like that, because I think it would set a dangerous precedent that when there's a feeling of, oh, we want to do this now, and we're going to take away the power, when this should have been on the ballot for November. If this was a question, I feel, and I wish it had been on the ballot for the November vote so that people can make the decision. Because right now, for a year and something, there will be an interim mayor who was not chosen by the people, but chosen by the charter. And I want to be clear. Like, this is the deal. It could have been me. It could have been Rich Fantana, anybody. So this is not about a person. I want to be clear. Let me say this 3, 4, 5 times. This is about a process. And the process always has to be in the hand of the people, because the government answers to the people.
Correct.
And so I was really, really glad to talk to the councilwoman yesterday and to really understand her intentions. It's not necessarily to put somebody there, but asking the question so that law can speak back. And my hope is that when law does speak back, that the public is informed of what the law department says. Because at the end of the day, we talk about attorney-client privilege. That's not a part of attorney-client privilege.
Correct.
When you have asked, and I know the lawyers are going to say, and especially corporation counsel, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know that for 12 years I served, and I know that we were transparent enough to say, if we get something out, if it's about a lawsuit or a case,
Absolutely.
that's attorney-client privilege.
Correct.
But when it is a council person asking the city's lawyers to opine on whether we can appoint somebody to the South District or any other district, and the attorney gives you an opinion, to me, read it. And then after you read it, the people of this city should know, or else what will happen, we will blame you all.
Yeah.
And the South Buffalo's gonna blame the council, and then East Buffalo is gonna blame the council if you do stick somebody in there. And at the end of the day, if there's an opinion, I want to know what the dang opinion is.
And honestly, we have gotten a written opinion.
Yep.
And it's been told to us confidentially. However,
Oh, wait. You can't get it. You can't. I don't want to get you in trouble. You can't say what it is, but you have an opinion.
we have an opinion.
So why don't the people know the opinion?
Because it was told to us that it's confidential. But everything that I
The
wrote in there
opinion
is
of wait a
confidential.
minute. I just want to get this straight.
Yes, sir.
The opinion of the corporation council concerning a question that was a public question, because it wasn't a so this is my problem. If you all have an answer, and if I've been there for a long time. If you ask, we have every right to ask corporation counsel, which is the city's lawyers, a question confidentially, and then that's answered confidentially. This was on the docket.
Right.
This was loud and clear.
Right.
This was in taxpayers' face.
Right.
And it's a question that taxpayers need to know. Why is it confidential?
That's what was told to. That's what was given to us on a document saying it's confidential. However, the information in there is public. It's part of the public records, part of the charter. So it wasn't anything that we don't know. Because a reporter asked me, well, can I get, I'm not giving you no confidential
can't do that.
document. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
That is against the rules.
Absolutely.
You're right. Exactly.
But we do have something. We do have a response, and it's not allowed.
So in other words, if it leaks out there, it ain't coming from you.
It ain't coming from me.
Right. Okay.
Because you done slapped my hand a couple times. You don't be doing those. You can't do stuff like
well,
that.
this is how I felt even when we would have claims.
Yep.
We go into executive session.
Right.
Now, once we made the decision, we come out of executive session, but we publicly,
Right.
we might not talk about the discussion,
Right.
because you don't want somebody else using that
Using
same
that
thing.
against you.
But we did publicly say,
Right.
this is the deal.
Right.
And to me, it should be publicly said of what the lawyers of the city, who are paid for by tax dollars. These are not, we ain't talking about a private corporation. We're not talking about a non-compete clause. We're not talking about that you're going to lose your profits if people know. No, we're talking about people having the power to know what its government knows. And if the council people know whether they can do this or not, and we don't know, to me, that is unfair and it is wrong.
And I would say this, and I think, like you said, no matter what district it is, no matter which part of the city is affected, at the end of the day, each district has roughly 34,000 people in it.
Yep.
You are telling 34,000 people that my representation is left in the hands of appointed staff members.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're just trying to find an answer. Like,
just want an answer. That's all it is. And I want to be clear, because, and I say this because I never want anybody to think any sour grapes. I didn't run. I chose not to run.
Yes, sir.
I chose not to run. I'm enjoying myself. The point is, it's always about process. Station, I know you've probably been standing by to run the commercials. I'm sorry I was on the tirade. We won't run it at 12:30. I'll just do a dry run right here on the radio, so you can go have a cup of coffee, Terry, if you're there. Hobson's, the Doctor of Dry Cleaning, 874 East Delavan. That's Hobson's, the Doctor of Dry Cleaning. They're the ones who help pay the bills so that we can have these real conversations and educate our people, and that's why we call it Power to the People. So I'm free. Praise the Lord, I'm free. No longer bound. No more chains holding me. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home, 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, 1275 Sycamore. In your hour of need, Brian K. Lewis. This week they service the Elizabeth Hubbard family, the Jesse Childs family, the Abdul Rashid Kamir Odin family, among others. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. In your hour of need, 845-5545, 845-5545. All right, so that's what I wanted people to understand. And when there are slight changes that can be made in the charter, but you cannot, from what my understanding, do something that affects the people at this scale and do it on the council floor. People have to vote on it.
Right.
So I'm really interested that's interesting that publicly documents were asked for.
Yep.
You expect publicly for them to be shared. And then we know and we can move on.
And I believe a number of outlets are foiling that request, forwarding that information. So hopefully they'll be able to get it, because you're right. Because when you read through it, there's nothing that's not within the charter. They're speaking from what the charter states and what the charter allows.
Yeah, Chucky is so passionate about civics. Don is going, I'm free. Yeah, and because I want people to know. And for the 12 years that I sat in City Hall, I taught people, I showed people, I told people how to get involved. I went to the pastors and said, I need you all down in the chambers. We need butts in the seat, because other communities are very active in government.
Yeah.
And I wish nothing but the best for whoever is leading the city. I would, we know that in the interim it's going to be Chris Scanlon. I wish nothing for the best, because I care more about our people than I do about the politics.
Absolutely.
I care more. This is the truth, everybody. Let me tell you this. When the race finally really gets started, and it's already started, trust me, you got to look for who's going to represent your interests. And so if that's or Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck or whatever, you get behind that person, right? But in the interim, whoever is sitting there needs to be supported in a way and brought to the table, brought to the, I don't, at the end of the day, that's just my feeling.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, because our people are suffering enough. We going through hell. I just want to finish up this thought. We're going through hell, especially people of color still. And there's some good things that are happening. I'm not going to ever act like, because I sat there, I'm not going to act like Northland is not a good thing. It's a daggone good thing. I'm not going to act as if the amount of housing that is coming online and that has come online is not a good thing. It's a daggone good thing. I'm not going to act like, unemployment being in a better position. It's a better position. It's a good thing. But at the end of the day, there is still so much more that is needed. And you got to figure out who's going to do that. Now, my fear is, and this is what, listen, I don't know if I would want to be mayor interim for during this tumultuous time that's about to occur, because right now the control board is short 4 seats.
Yep.
When Byron Brown leaves, it'll be short 5 seats. And for those of you who don't know, the control board is basically the babysitter of the finances. Now, they used to be they were the mama and daddy over the finances, and we couldn't spend anything without the control board saying yes. And the reason is because the city was in such bad financial shape. It was in danger of going bankrupt. So the state comes in and says, okay, we're going to give you some money, but we're going to watch the money, and we're going to watch it for years. Like, we're not about to give you money and then we don't watch it. Now it becomes short. I don't even know if the charter then allows the interim mayor to it's all these questions. True. How is their charter written? Does it say the mayor? So it's all of these questions that have to be answered. And to me, they should be answered in a public forum, not behind closed doors. This is what makes people not trust government. Yep. If we got to chase an answer, that should be available. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I think that during your presidency, you did that. You were very transparent. We opened up government. We had live streaming for meetings and those things. People could send in information. We allowed people to come in and speak.
Yes.
It wasn't somebody that told us, oh, no, don't let that person. We allowed everyone. If you had an issue, sometimes we didn't like it. It rubbed us the wrong way, but it's the people's chambers. And so what you're saying is absolutely true. We knew for a while that this was going to happen. We should have been doing these things not behind closed doors, in front of people, but we didn't. We waited. And this was just kind of, to me, contrived that, okay, I'm going to wait till after the 5th, then I'm going to step down, and then, all that other stuff happened, when it really could have been a special election early on, and we could have moved on, and the mayor could have been in the seat as the mayor and doing the things that he needs to do for the people, or doing her.
Well, I think that we're in for a roller coaster ride. And
Absolutely.
I say this, for the last 12 years, the news ain't had a whole lot to report on when it comes to City Hall. They ain't had a whole lot to report on when it came to the council. We
Now
had
it's
the
every
doors
day.
open. Yeah, we had the doors open. You're right. I brought the streaming.
Yeah.
You used to have to wait to watch it on public access, the playback later that day. We brought the streaming. We left the comments up. People could comment. They could cuss us out. They could say whatever, or they could compliment us. At the end of the day, we brought that. We brought putting the agendas up live, doing all of these things so that the people were able to watch and participate in government. And so we did that. I'm proud of that. I'm thankful to God for the technology and for the staff, the wonderful staff that made all of that happen. So at the end of the day, I just think that if City Hall turns back into this secret squirrel, got to beg for information stuff during a time like this. This is a critical time. For a year and something, we will have an interim mayor that the people did not pick, but the charter picked it. And again, nothing against a person. This is the process. And we all knew it. So I didn't know till later about the August thing until later. But we knew that there was a possibility, and it could have happened with me sitting there. Right. So I am in no way. I want to make sure everybody hears me loudly and clearly. I am only teaching so that people understand what is going on, and I'm kind of fired up that you all know the answer and that it's confidential. What the heck is this? This is not Fisher Price. This is not really. This ain't Swiss Bank. This ain't Chase Bank where you got to have this confidence. This is the government of the people. So we starting out like this. This gonna be a time. I'm gonna have plenty of stuff for the radio show.
and I
Mark just ain't gonna be able to be on. I'm gonna have to be down at the station.
Well, listen, and I think, like you said, in the late '90s, early to turn of the century, could you have foreseen, because you were being asked to downsize government, and so that's what started that Charter Revision Commission was, to downsize government. Did you know that? Like, did you guys ever think?
Well, the commission is not who downsized the government.
Oh,
those
okay.
were two different events.
Oh, okay.
The push to downsize government came, I believe, like Councilmember Franzak and all that.
Oh, okay.
That was a big deal, and really, I'm only going by what I'm told, so I'm not on a stand. But and I'll say who told me. Councilmember Franzak told me that there was a deal on the table to keep an at-large member, and that what they were told is all or nothing. We want everything. That's what I was told.
Gotcha.
And so that was separate. It was after the downsizing that then Mazziello sat a charter revision commission. So we didn't do that. I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
Because I was a young minister then, and when they downsized, and I was on the side of leave it like it is, but at least leave the at-large members. And I think most of the black pastors or African-American pastors and pastors of color, Puerto Rican and others, were on that same page. I don't really remember, because this was a time when clergy was united. Let me just pause there. This was a time when B.W. Smith was alive.
Yes, sir.
This was a time when Du Bois was alive, and all of these powerful pastors, A.C. Ware, I can go on and
Baines.
on. Baines, and they would get together, and they would say, who we supporting?
Right.
It didn't matter whether you was Baptist, Methodist, who are we, and who are we going to tell our people? And people were afraid of that. Elected officials were afraid of that. Elected officials right now running around like Girl Scouts with Girl Scout cookies, and so happy that there is so little unity in our community. And that, because I can tell you this, if somebody from North Buffalo run for mayor, North Buffalo and people who look like them are not going to attack them. If somebody runs from on the east side who look like, we going to throw all kinds of mud and dirt, and they ain't going to have to do nothing to us because we going to do it ourselves. The pastors are not together. I'm going to say it. We're not on the same page yet. I suggest that we get our stuff together. And that we become that solid unit and stop moaning and who's in charge and who. I don't care who in charge. Let us have our common beliefs. I've always said we ought to be, if we can't get together on nothing, it should be on education, number one.
Yes,
absolutely.
And that's not just children, educating our people.
In general.
So for me, and I'm a pastor, so I ain't pointing no fingers, because somebody can say, why you ain't doing it? Well, I'm retired. But we got to be on the same page, because I long for those days where you had a Bennett Smith and Bennett said, come on by at St. John, we going to talk. And then he get together in the room with the other pastors, and next thing you know, the black church is like, this is what we doing. Because I could tell you this, and this ain't no racism, this is the truth. And you might want to hear it. Because some of these new folks in Buffalo, when one of them run, they all of them getting behind them.
Yes, they are.
And they putting the finances together. Yep. They already in government. They working in government. They learning the system. Yep. And when one of them run, they might not say it in the mosque, but when they come outside of the mosque, it's gonna be, this is our candidate.
Yes,
and we're not together enough to do that. So all them people who Storm, our black leaders ain't doing nothing. Our black leaders ain't doing nothing. Well, you getting ready to see. And I'm not saying the person has to be African American. I don't care whether you black, whether you white. I don't care whether you Bengali. I want somebody who's going to care about the least and build that up and make sure that regardless of the side of town that we are helping those who need it most, period.
That's why everybody begging for you to run.
I'm not running.
I know. People ask me that all the time. Well, Pridgeon. But if Pridgeon don't run.
God himself. Let me tell you what would have to happen. God himself.
The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
You know how God sent the angel to Mary and said, Hail Mary, Woman of God, thou art blessed. The Lord and Mary, the Bible said, was confused and disturbed.
Okay, don't say that when Gabriel show up at your
Gabriel
show up in your.
You ain't hear me. It can't be Gabriel. It's got to be Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. I need the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I need all of them, and a few other important black people.
I knew somebody from the press called me. I was talking to you yesterday. They said, "Are you considering?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, if you do, please let me be the first to know." So he gonna have to come to me, and then when Jesus show up, he gonna have to strap me down and go, "I created you."
Yeah,
I created you.
that's what Chucky said. Read, and now I'm gonna emphasize tired. Read tired.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so that's my point. I just wanted to educate people on what's going on because this is going to get crazy. And the next leader of this city, right now, from what I'm being told, you sitting there, I don't know. Let me tell you how much I know. I don't know nothing about City Hall. I don't watch the news. I read the paper, and that's it. We're running into a little deficit right now.
Yes, sir.
And from what I read, you can tell me like 16 million or something like that. Or it's in the millions, whatever it is.
Yep.
When y'all do the budget next year, or coming up,
Godspeed.
God bless you because there's no more American Rescue money. There ain't no COVID money. Ain't no, unless, I mean, y'all going to have to run to Albany and be like, listen, Governor, we need some money.
You live here,
And they ain't got money. They ain't got no money.
as a governor. You
Governor
live
ain't
here.
got no money.
Right, good. Kathy,
Help.
help. We
Can't help.
But the danger is that we could go back to a hard control board,
Yeah.
and that's real. And I know people may not want to hear it, but unfortunately, we didn't take the proper steps. And I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm gonna say we because I'm part of the government, but we did try. We tried. We had that American Rescue money. We talked about plans and we talked about how this could be transformational, but we didn't do any of those things. And now we're at a crossroads.
Well, I'll say this, that because I'm going to do like every other politician. We did cut budgets, and it may have been small to some people, but we kept jobs because people keep saying, people don't want, and this is what you have to understand, when the pot is only so big.
Yeah.
So if you say cut police, that whole, remember the whole movement? Remember the whole
Defund.
movement? It's real quiet. It's quiet. In my Trump voice, it's quiet. Right?
Yeah.
My constituents were saying, we want police.
Right.
My constituents don't want you to cut police.
Correct.
The majority didn't want cut on fire. They don't want to have their garbage picked up every other day.
Nope.
These are the basic services, and you have to pay for them. So if you don't have the money to pay for them, you have to find other revenue sources. And a budget was passed that had revenue sources in it that did not come through.
Speculative.
So at the end of the day, though, that budget got voted in. That voted. So everybody who voted for it, you got to go like, we voted for it. And that's just the honest truth. Not me. Hold on. Not Darius.
Not me.
I'm free. Praise the Lord. I'm free. No longer bound. So at the end of the day, but I feel for all of the elected officials in the city of Buffalo. I'm going to be honest. I've been there, and I know how difficult it is to try to do more or even maintain with less. So, I'm mad at all y'all right now for my assessment on my house. I'm mad at the council members who are not my council member. And that process started while I was there. I'm mad at all. I opened up that thing. I said, what you want me to do? Finance the city? You want me to pay the mayor's salary?
I'm filling the deficit myself.
I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income. I'm going to have to move over to the senior homes. I'm going to get me a loft over at the senior homes. What are you talking about?
You gonna get a tiny house?
I do want a tiny house. I don't want it in the middle of Winslow. Shoot. If I get a tiny house, I want it to be out in Angola somewhere. I like the tiny house. I'm going to try to create a tiny house on a little village. Yeah, folks. Hobson's a Dr. Dry Cleaner, 874 East Delavan. Thank you, Hobson's Sister Hobson. I'm going to make her. Yeah, I'm going to make her Mrs. Dr. Hobson. Thank you for continuing to pour into our community. Thank you for what you do. That's my cleaners. That's where I go. This shirt, crispy.
That's where I go.
Crispy, because it got dry clean with starch at Hobson's,
Light starch.
the Dr. Dry Cleaner. And I heard they, and I don't take my stuff over, but I heard now they can send you like an alert on your phone
They send you
when
a
you're
text.
closed.
When your clothes are ready, I get my text.
Yeah, I've been getting it. I've been
Really?
getting a text
Yeah,
for a
it's
while.
like, okay, ready.
Tell you all your ticket numbers that you have.
It's like when
I
you get
love
your,
it.
like when you get your chicken wings ready.
So do you get a text when you drop off the clothes or when they're ready?
when they're ready.
when they're ready.
I
yeah.
like that. Today I had to get blood work over at Quest. The young lady over there was so good. You see, I never had blood out of my hand. She couldn't get the vein.
I was wondering what's the Band-Aid for?
Yeah, because she took blood out of my hand. And she was so sweet. She had Proverbs written on things. Real nice over on Delaware. I ain't going back over there, though. It's too many people in there and they loud. Like everybody had, like 4 people had their phone on in there, talking on the phone like on FaceTime. Somebody else playing a game and it's ding, ding, ding. Now, I would go back over, but y'all cut off your stuff or put on your ear pod.
But
I know I'm getting old because I was jumping and like.
But you know what? Yesterday, this is the first prayer.
Come on! It's time.
Prayer.
What?
Airtime. Come on.
This is the first prayer meeting I came to on Thursday, and it was so loud in there. I was like, "Wow!"
Like
but
loud?
you gave it. It was loud. It was real loud.
You talking about the sound was too loud?
No, I'm talking about people praising.
You can't say
Not
bro,
loud like the music.
You can't say loud
because you ain't playing no
nowadays.
music. You just
right.
You talk,
but when
it
you
was
say it was a lot of
it
people.
was
in
good.
church last
It
night.
was I was looking my fingers for real.
Yeah, it was a good study, and attendance has been like crazy.
Yes.
So you always invited Thursday night True Bethel. You don't have to belong to True Bethel. You don't have to belong to any church. We just breaking down the Bible. The Bible study.
Bible study. I needed a word from God, and I came one Thursday night, and
Dag, you got a word on Thursday.
and then within a couple of weeks, that's when I joined.
Thursday night. It's hot.
I think you said something about me in there though, because I talked about you don't get to preach. You're like, "Well, what you been doing all week long?" I'm like, "Oh my God!"
I
you
ain't
done
say
convicted me.
nothing about
I
you.
know you ain't saying
See,
nothing
that
about me, but you
conviction.
know I
That
say that
conviction.
because that's why I come to 8:30 because I know you preaching at 8:30 at 10.
Convicted.
9.
Well,
9. I don't know.
Well, you
9,
need
10
that's
o'clock.
your problem. That's your problem. That's your problem.
Convicted.
You ain't heard a word from God all week. Now the Spirit moving in church, and you got an attitude that you can't hear from God. I taught y'all last night how to hear from God.
Now
you better listen.
Now Bishop got to do jumping jacks,
Right.
cartwheels.
Right. Now I got to satisfy because the people you go to the mosque and the mosque if the imam don't have time to say they be like I'm going. Hey,
I'm gone. I
came
got
to the mosque.
to get back to my store.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, 347 Peckham, 2528
God.
Bailey, 1275 Sycamore in your hour of need. And this Thursday is prayer, right? Is it the first? So this Thursday night is intensive prayer for an hour. So we want you to be there. We go live. You'll be able to call in. You'll be able to send prayer requests over the computer. But being there, there's nothing like being there. So I'm going to encourage people who like to pray prostrate, laid out. Bring your blanket or your air mattress if you can't get down and up, and we will have a seat. You could be right there on the floor. What?
Careful what you say on the ear.
Why?
Because somebody goes.
We'll bring it.
No, I mean it. Oh, I'm not playing. They can go open. We'll have a side where people who want to lay out before the Lord can do it. I'm telling you, I mean it. So I'm glad you said that. I'm not. That's not a joke. They can really do
Bring
that.
cushions
It's
for
going to
their
be
knees.
intense. They can bring whatever, or sit. They can sit in the chairs. But you be in the place because of the first Thursday of every month is prayer, and we're going to be praying for all situations and calling out things and praying the scriptures on Thursday night. You don't want to miss this. True Bethel. I'm going to throw it back over to the station. I'm out of time. I've already paid the bill station, so I know you got to go to the next show. So until next week,
Power to the people.